hour for both groups to kind of recap. And so we'll it don't have to take the whole half hour, but we have a half hour. After half hour, we'll say, cut. And then the other group will go. Okay?
What's that?
Yep.
And sir, what's your name? Ross, you may want to chime in as well, because I know that you wrote notes and things like that. So, all right. So, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, by the way, my name is Don Davis, and with Firestorm Ministries. I'm also, we're connected with Dick and Virginia McManus. So, and we'll have also the Balakrams over tonight as well. So, I will just say thank you, Apostle Charlene, for a wonderful presentation. And I'm not just saying that either. Dick and Virginia, we have some work to do. So what is an ark? And of course, she gave the example, and it was given a number of times already, was the aircraft carrier battle group style, and which is team led. And so I really picked up on that because our ministry is team led. It's not dominated by a single individual or a single couple. Also, I wrote down the notes that I really keyed in on. Among the varied things, and there were a lot of things, and I just want to say it was an inspiration to see an apostolic resource center have all of these, let's call them branches or divisions or whatever you want to call these spokes. We call them spokes of a wheel, and they're numerous. And also, I also appreciated her role as, once they're set up in motion, she trains up the leaders to take on the ministry, and then she backs off and is there as an advisor and as a support and a help when needed. Am I correct? So also one thing I keyed in on was an apostolic resource center looks at everything. And she had a very nice list of pastoral versus apostolic. And what you can't help but catch, but with the pastoral, it is inward. People think they want to build up their sheep, but they're not trained for leadership. They may be, certain individuals may be trained for ministry, but there's not a lot of people trained up for ministry. Whereas the Apostolic Resource Center, the way she described it is, people come in, yes, they get saved. Yes, they're a little dirty and sloppy, but they get training immediately to what? Go out and work. Yes. Which is, I think, very good. Also, the training processes I also keyed in on, because I myself am a teacher and a trainer. And so I was thinking, normally we think 3-5 years and then we put you in the field, but her process is 18 months. And which is fast, but it's hands-on as well, which I like. So when you're training a person in deliverance, evangelism, other things of ministry, it's hands-on. So you got to get them involved in it and dirty. So I appreciated that that outlook with training. Also, a city resource, and it's kind of, you've heard of the idea that some of these resources that the cities employ. What do they call those? There's a word for that. There's, I forgot the word, but I studied it at one time. City government? Yeah, yes, the city governments. They view particular, there's a resource that they call them. Resources. What's that? Human resources? No, it's a, anyway, I'm going to skip over that because for time. So, she talked about the apostle and the prophet, although she talked about fivefold, but the apostle and prophet harnessed together in this effort, which was something that I picked up as well. Also, 4 pillars of an ark: love, learning, leadership, and load. So what about the load part? Who's carrying the load? It's going to be the people, and which means you're going to put them to work. And so then that's different. Usually the leadership of a church are the ones carrying that load and feeling they have to do everything. And of course, what does that cause? Stress, burnout,
Bitterness.
problems.
Yeah.
Did you need ministry, dear? Also, that love is central, and it's motivated. It's love motivated by unifying the kingdom. I appreciated when she was saying this is kingdom focus. So even though there's a ministry out there that isn't tied in, they're still for the kingdom. We can support each other. We're connected to each other. Also, this was something that I personally struggled with, but that was training people to blend their natural life, their natural jobs with spiritual life and jobs. And truthfully, I didn't come to the end of my career, and I worked in law enforcement, by the way. It was at the end of my career when I fully realized it. And one of the things that, for me, that really was helped me to realize that was in my position, we had what was called a command duty officer. So I was the guy who had command of all available resources in case something hit the fan at night, because everybody else would be sleeping, but I would be awake, or the command duty officer on call. And what I went into that, I harnessed the spiritual component to that. So I had intercessors pray. I also spoke to the atmosphere. And my goal was nobody killed tonight. No fatal traffic accidents tonight. And those kind of things. No serious incidents tonight. All deputies coming home safe tonight. So I harnessed that. I started to realize that was an excellent training point for me, because I was always being encouraged to listen. It's not just a job. You have authority out there. And so I started to understand that. So just a little bit of rabbit trail there.
And the results of that were?
Excellent. No, it really was good. What's that? No fatalities. And that was victory. So my goal really was, I do not want to get calls to respond to these disasters or catastrophes. Now, and I also will tell you, I embraced that role, and I had enormous power that I could command and control, but it wasn't just in the natural, it was also spiritual. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that, because I thought that was a great point that she mentioned. That's how it connected for me. Let's see. We talked about the training program. Worship. Again, this is a great thing. You know, what she said was, we don't just do worship where we hear and we cry and we just kind of get lost in the spirit. We ask, what is God saying?
Yeah.
What is Holy Spirit saying? And I said, that's great. Because I also try that. I do that. I practice that, but I will tell you, sometimes it's a little difficult when you're crying and you're just experiencing. Oh, I remember Michael Sessions, or last time we had him at our church, I felt like I was just going to melt on the floor. But anyway, so I just thought that was it's wonderful, because again, God is feeding us. He's feeding our mind. He's feeding our spirit, and he's giving us revelation. And I keep one of these handy, because I always scribbling down things, because there's downloads coming. Yeah. Anyway, it's wonderful.
That's great.
Also, I like the idea. I think you mentioned this. You started with raising soldiers, and then you transitioned to raising sheep. So you softened in your approach.
Heretic.
But what is important?
Call some killers.
I can totally relate to her, because I was a trainer. I was also a law enforcement trainer, and I'm not saying I raised killers. That's not the case. But I raised people that could take care of business, right? Well, that's not always the case, because you're going to have people that are on different scales, different callings, different giftings. we have to love them and support them too. And so I appreciated the fact now I believe that you still train, tough people, tough-minded people, raised soldiers, but also there are sheep that have to be cared for. And so she has that ministry as well. And so there were a lot of acronyms, a lot of wonderful checklist or lists. We're going to get the presentation. Also, we would love to have you come to our little arc and speak, because I drew inspiration.
Yes.
I felt like, we can do more and we can do this. So I appreciated this, and I hope I did it justice.
Anyone else?
Anybody else?
If anyone else in that group has anything else to say, or should turn it over to Ron. Ron.
Yeah, I just, what was also coming to me is that you're doing the practical and the spiritual. You're marrying the two together. And I was thinking about sheep out there eating grass. This isn't against the church, because I love the church. We've got that pastoral side. So, but if all you're teaching to do is come into green pasture once a week to eat some grass, that's all you get.
Right.
And so this is transformation, because these people are going to go on to transform other people and to change the culture, to change the region. And that's really what the kingdom is. And that's probably what most of us have in our heart. We don't want things to just do some little thing and then go home. We want something that is transforming, changing, and lasting. It's exactly what Charlene.
And you know what, to add on to a little bit, we want to call ourselves an apostolic resource center, but we're small. And primarily what we have going, we have prayer ministries going, but we have Sunday morning going. But we're finding it a little difficult to engage everybody in finding their calling and their gifts and having them do that. And so this was, again, this is why we chose this one, is we wanted to see, okay, also Charlene, what are you doing? And how can we employ some of the things that you did and are doing so in our group too. So
one of the things about a resource center is that your resources are the people in front. When I was in prison ministry, I didn't have a lot of people. We had maybe 2 or 3 people with 50 inmates. And so I trained them how to do worship. I trained them how to do deliverance. I trained them to be guards, because we can't touch them when we're doing deliverance, but they can touch each other. And they began to train them to be teachers. And we didn't need a large team. They became empowered to do the service. And we don't have a large team. We maybe have 15 people. Yeah. And you saw the breadth that we're doing in a couple different states, other countries with that many people, because those people are doing the work. We're just overseeing it.
Yes.
They're doing the work.
Yes.
That's going to be the difference. You don't have to do everything.
Anything else? Anybody else from the group that?
It was inspirational for me too. So I really appreciate you going through all the work to pull that together and show us.
I like the illustration, the sheep versus the rams.
Yeah. And believe me, I didn't capture all the detail that came out. So but that was those things that I listed here were a lot of the things that stood out for me and I captured. So
she has an amazing gift of administration. I mean, amazing. So she has you can get an email to her, just different ways of looking at the services that they do, and they do a lot of different things. We still don't think she sleeps. So I think the presentation of the different graphs and things that she does in comparisons is really awesome, and it makes you stop and think. So if you're interested in an ARC, you probably should get on the free email list.
It's right there in the middle of the table.
any questions or comments? Anybody else? Okay.
Thanks, Don. You did a great job.